Federal government approves a 5 billion naira for National Identity Management Commission NIMC, plus South Korean shares up 1.9% as Asia-Pacific markets try for gains. The program is Business Express and we're reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Leah Katun Babatunde. The Federal Executive Council has approved contracts for the construction of 3 substations in Kano and Benue states, as well as for the extension of transmission lines in Umuahia, Abia State and Mbano, Imo State. The Minister of Power, Mamman Saleh, stated these after the 37th Federal Virtual Cabinet meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday. Saleh said Council approved the construction of 3 substations, 2 in Kano State and 1 in Benue State, where he puts the cost for the extension of transmission lines in Abia and Imo States at $506,324.4 and 3 plus 34,034,034,000 naira local content on the amount for the construction of 3 substations in Zakibiam, Benue State and Bichi in Kano State. The one in Zakibiam is $8.6 million, while the local content is 2.08 billion naira.
For now, there's been complaint that more power is being produced and is being wheeled out. So all these contracts is about improving the capacity of the TCN so that when this electricity is produced, it will get to our homes.
The federal government has jacked up the capital budget of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, from 500 million naira to 5 billion naira, presenting the new condition and scheme of service to the Director General of NITDA. Pantami, the Minister for Digital Economy, said the new scheme and conditions of service will enable the agency effectively key into the digital economy mandate of the federal government, enhance the corporate culture of the agency, attract and retain highly skilled staff, amongst others. Key areas in the new scheme of service include the introduction of paternity and compassionate leave, responsible award transfer benefits, and staff home owner loan, among others.
And not ignore any negligence from NITDA. We must ensure that the performance is enhanced significantly.
The agency has been transformed in line with the National Digital Economy Policy. We have recalibrated all our initiatives to align with your vision and Mr. President's drive to diversify our economy and to make Nigeria a leading digital economy.
Also, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Pantami, and the Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Professor Umar Ambata, urged telecommunications and ICT experts across West Africa to be ambitious towards the speedy growth of the sector. They added that the increased regional collaboration would speed up the development of a seamless telecommunications network and infrastructure across West Africa. They maintain that through the formulation and implementation of sound regulatory policies, programs and initiatives, the regional body would achieve its objectives. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, says Nigeria remained the largest economy in West Africa, and this was contained in a statement signed by the Embassy of UAE in Abuja, which states that the embassy had commenced a series of trade and investment promotion activities aimed at bolstering the bilateral trade and investment volume between Nigeria and the UAE. The trade promotion initiative is coordinated in collaboration with the UAE International Investment Council, UAEIIC, the UAE Ministry of Economy, and the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment in Nigeria. The initiative focuses on attracting key industry stakeholders and investors across all sectors in Nigeria and the UAE in the bid to develop and explore future trade opportunities. Let's now see how much the Naira is exchanging for against other currencies. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it may at a projection of $27.66 billion in a year be paying 115 billion naira to beneficiaries of diaspora remittances annually with the new Naira for Dollar scheme. Nigeria's diaspora remittances in 2019 was put at $21 billion by the World Bank, even though the forecast showed that the remittances would have risen to $27.66 billion in 2020. Experts believe the projections couldn't have been met due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Forecast by PricewaterhouseCoopers had suggested that Nigeria's remittances flow could reach $34.89 billion by 2023 if the policies were right. Now, to take this conversation further, in light of economic benefits of banks beginning the implementation of the new policy on diaspora remittances, it has seen to be a move which is an incentive introduced to by the regulators to boost inflows of diaspora remittances. We have joining us via telephone senior economist with SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje. He's joining us via telephone from Kano. Mr. Paul, it's always good to have you on the program.
Thank you so very much for having me. Good morning.
Great. So what do you make of the Naira for Dollar scheme?
Okay, so the reserve of dollars recently introduced by Central Bank of Nigeria is for the purpose of increasing foreign reserve so that by implication will help Naira become relatively stable. Recall that about two times now at least, Naira has depreciated against the dollar, no thanks to COVID-19. Authorities seem to want to see how we can attract more in terms of remittance, and that could stay the foreign reserve and people withdrawing dollar directly. That is why I think from observation, authorities talking about central bank right now saying they're going to be adding 5 naira on every single dollar that is collected for remittance purpose.
So, what are the impacts you foresee within this 2-month window?
Okay, so I'm seeing impact across board. The first impact I'm seeing is that other things being equal, we're going to see a significant increase in foreign reserve as more and more who want to collect remittances may go for the option of naira. Other things being equal. But even if people want to go and exchange at parallel market, that will also increase supply at parallel market, bringing the pressure perhaps to remain at where it is today rather than having significant increase. Or even if the pressure supply increases at the parallel market, we may see some level of reduction in exchange rate in that unofficial market. So I'm also seeing a situation where Nigeria could stabilize in terms of naira exchange rate a bit compared to the high level of uncertainty that we have right now.
So, how would you describe the role of diaspora remittances in the running of the economy?
Okay, so the diaspora remittances is among the top 4 or 5 source of effects to Nigeria economy, particularly to our foreign reserve. When you take out oil and some other special export inflow, then diaspora remittance will be classified among the top 4, top 5. It will be amongst them. So it's so very significant, so very important. It's not what we can ignore, and has been one of the major contributors to foreign reserve in Nigeria. And that's the reason why I think authorities have decided to bring a 2-month, differentiate 2-month additional program of naira for dollar by providing additional 5 naira, so that more and more people will may choose the option of receiving their money in naira rather than dollars.
Some Nigerians are raising concerns over abuse. How can the Apex Bank and other financial institutions checkmate, for instance, round tripping?
Okay, so round tripping is so very difficult because of the existence of a market called parallel market. Unfortunately, authorities till now have not recognized that market exists or have shied away from accepting that the market exists. But the truth remains the truth. That market exists, an authority must nip it on the board. We must take decisive decision, either using monetary approach or using physical approach. I don't think we need more physical approach here, but we need monetary approach or physical approach to nip it on the board. We cannot continue to encourage what hurts us within our system. If it is businesses, it must be around the regulated rate that central bank has put in place. If it is parallel market, which is not even captured at all by the central bank, then authorities in partnership with government of the day must nip it on the board and say no to it. When that happens, what challenge that we have right now regarding exchange rate, I believe would have been solved by 80%, if not completely.
But as we have some people nursing some concerns that other markets, like the OMO market, for instance, the IFX market, might be hurt within these 2 months.
Well, unfortunately, or contrarily, I don't think so. I don't think so because the margin isn't much. And if you look at the market since this has been introduced, it's relatively stable. So I would just advise that we keep watch. We can just 2 months. We watch perhaps in the next 2 weeks and see if there is any instability in the market so that we can properly respond as people.
Okay, now before I let you go, could you quickly tell us if there is hope for a stronger naira instead of these regulations that most people say tilt towards the dollar?
stronger naira. As soon as we start exporting more than we are importing, as soon as we no longer import finished product, I strongly believe there is hope. And as soon as we are able to take a decisive decision about parallel market that is hurting us right now, so that people will stop speculating on our naira and dollars to make personal gain because it's not of national interest. It's not in our national interest.
Okay, let me just sneak in this other question. How do you see fiscal measures marrying these monetary measures in the near term?
Well, fiscal responsibility is clearly different from that of monetary responsibility. Fiscal responsibility is clearly has to do with strategy around government expenditure and also taxation, government revenue. So it's a bit different. Yet it is malleable, but to a large extent, in this particular remittance, if they are zeroing it down on remittances, it is likely different, except if we want to now consider some other economic variables. But speaking to a large extent, a monetary authority will need to do what they need to do. However, the support of government is needed where parallel market is hurting, starting from the Federal Capital Territory, of course, the economic capital Lagos, and the extension to Kano, where what is ubiquitous is the collection of dollars and taking it to parallel market for some for extra gain. If that market is not there, I believe everyone will be on the same page, and we can have naira not beyond 400 naira as we should have it today.
Okay, thank you very much. We're speaking with Paul Alaje of SPM Professionals from Kano. Thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you so very much for having me, and good morning.
Great. You have a nice one. In our Surviving COVID-19 series for today is the story of a food vendor whom, despite the challenge posed by coronavirus, she's still able to ensure her business is still afloat.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Before COVID-19, business is better than now because it took us like yam, rice, everything high. So no one, where something not too much cost. At least when you buy your own, you see your own inside. If you sell your own, you see your own inside. But this one, you go hustle from morning till night, you not say anything. Where the lockdown go down, I went to my customer place because it's over 5 years I started this business. I started to beg them to give me credit. So I used to manage anyone that I sell. I used to settle the one I collect the next day. That is what I used to do till I balance now. Even say I dey see when they say I dey hear where people say they give me, even so my neighbor they give, but e no reach me.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Of course, it's going to reach you no matter how long it takes. Now, let's take a trip to the commodities market to see how it is faring this Thursday. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to reopen Aminu Kano International Airport for international flights, just as the Green Chamber also asked federal government to open a Kanubium International Airport, Enugu, and Port Harcourt International Airport for international flights. This resolution followed a motion moved by the majority leader of the House, Alhassan Ado Doguwa, and 23 others for the reopening of Aminu Kano Airport.
Of the 5 international airports in Nigeria, effective from Saturday 21st March 2020, Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, Makia, Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, in Enugu State, Port Harcourt International Airport, Omuaga, in Rivers State.
The motion raised by House Leader and 33 others noted the loss of revenue and the attendant stress on businesses in the affected regions. The lawmakers called on authorities to decide on a timeline for the resumption of international traffic in the said airports, which required COVID-19 preventive protocols in place.
Okay, let's just bring you up to speed that just yesterday the Nigerian Stock Exchange fully demutualized, and that sent the bargain hunters to go on rampage with the market closing on positive notes. And away from home, we're seeing some sort of marginal movements in Asian markets. And for more on the European markets and other markets, let us join Neka Oko.
Asia markets traded broadly higher Thursday following a relatively strong finish on Wall Street overnight after U.S. lawmakers passed the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package. The Nikkei 225 in Japan rose 0.60%. The Shanghai Composite was up 2.31%, while the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index added 1.17%. European stocks are expected to open higher Thursday as markets react to positive momentum stateside following the final approval of President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief bill. London's FTSE is seen opening 0.07% higher at 6,725.60. Germany's DAX 40 points higher at 14,574. And CAC 40 of France up 16 points at 6,004. U.S. stocks rose in early trading Thursday after the market's blue chip average set another record high during the regular session. Contracts for the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 142 points. Those for the S&P 500 climbed 0.6% higher, while Nasdaq 100 jumped 1.11%. Neka Oko, Business Express.
Well, thank you, Neka. And this is, of course, where we're in this edition of Business Express. Do remember to keep in touch with us. So do send in your questions, comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that you can catch up with us on all previous episodes that are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can communicate with us on Twitter as well, and the handle is NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizX. Business Express returns Friday at 3 p.m. Be safe out there. I'm Leah Katun. Baba Tunde.
Get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Along a flyway, seasonally, birds migrate often north and south between breeding and wintering grounds. Many species migrate, and these occur naturally on one hand, even though out of necessity, compelled by other environmental factors on the other hand. This migration carries high cost in predation and mortality, including hunting by humans. Migration is driven primarily by availability of food. It occurs mainly in the northern hemisphere, where birds are funneled onto specific routes by natural barriers such as the Mediterranean and Caribbean seas. Migration dates back to about 3,000 years. Every year, on the 9th of May, the United Nations celebrate World's Migratory Birds Day to create awareness and promote safety of birds that migrate. During flight, some birds become incapacitated and are unable to continue the flight, which explains why sometimes we wake up to the sight of rare species of birds in our compounds. What are we supposed to do should this happen? Globally speaking, in other parts of the world, value is attached to this species of bird, even though that cannot be said about most African countries, Nigeria inclusive, where these birds are hunted down either for food or sold in the market to make money.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
There is an epidemic affecting individuals in every community, regardless of age, economic status, gender, race, religion, or nationality. It is called domestic violence. It can take a number of forms, including physical, verbal, emotional, economic, religious, or sexual abuse. The ultimate aim of domestic violence is to gain and maintain total control over its victim. Domestic violence does not discriminate. It happens among people of all ages, ethnic background, and economic levels. While women are more commonly victimized, men are also abused, especially verbally and emotionally, although sometimes even physically as well. Unfortunately, domestic violence is among the most underreported crimes worldwide for both men and women. An abuser doesn't play fair. He or she uses fear, guilt, shame, and intimidation to wear down his or her victims and keep them perpetually under his or her control. Abusers may often seem wonderful and perfect initially, but gradually become more aggressive and controlling as the relationship continues. Here are some signs of abusive tendencies: showing jealousy of the victim's family and friends, accusing victim of cheating, controlling who the victim sees, where they go, or what they do, preventing the victim from making his or her own decision, intimidating the victim with guns, knives, or other weapons. Noticing and acknowledging the signs of an abusive relationship is the first step to ending it. Therefore, abusive behavior is never acceptable, whether it is coming from a man or a woman, a teenager or an older adult. We all deserve to be valued, respected, and safe.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello and welcome to Agenda 2030. I am Tony Nkamiang John. In the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals,